just turn it over to the leaders in our community and those who are involved in nonprofit organization. If you could introduce yourselves, and then we're going to open it up to discussion.
My name is Paul Foster. I'm the chair of Community Board 7.
Walter Bell, I'm the chair for Public Safety and Quality of Life for Community Board 7.
My name is Harold Maldonado. I'm the director of the Kips Bay Boys and Girls Club here on 1835 University Avenue.
Xavier Rodriguez, District Manager, Board 5.
Fernando Cabrera, District Manager for Board 7.
Ada Martinez, Board Chair of Davidson Community Center.
Adeline Walker Santiago, Vice Chair of Community Board 7.
Pastor Winslow Jackson, Chair of Community Board 4.
Dr. Bola Motosho, Chair of Community Board 5.
Beautiful. Well, thank you again for coming in. I'm just going to open it up to suggestions, comments, anything that will help us come with a comprehensive, systematic way of dealing with situations that we've been having. Yes.
Just introduce yourself before you speak, just so I can try to get some names.
Okay, my name is Adeline Walker Santiago, and I'm with Community Board 7. I'm the newly elected Vice Chair in October. I went to a meeting yesterday in Parkchester, and we've had meetings about the safety issues on our board, but Chandra was killed. Mr. Chandra was killed at 30 West 190th Street, and right at the beginning of November. And he was beaten with a rod. So they were saying it's a robbery in the press, but it was actually a murder. And we're finding this out now. Around the corner, not even a day later, another guy was stabbed to death. And then another 2 days later, there was a guy held up with a gun and he was robbed. And now we have the 4-year-old child in that area. In my area, 198th Street, like Cabrera's pointing out, we have a lot of gangs.
So let's just stick with the first area for a second.
The first area is...
What do you think could help in that first area?
Oh, I have a lot of ideas, because that meeting really helped zone in on some good ideas.
So share them with us.
Okay, the one thing they automatically shared was putting up a reward system to catch the suspects, because we have those guys that were walking by on the camera that they showed on TV. They're not necessarily the suspects. They could have just been walking by. There's no evidence on that.
Okay.
And the second thing they were talking about was to organize and maybe do a vigil, a walk, and bring the public out more, because this is an outcry of all the Bronx, bringing everyone together in the Bronx. The other thing was walking partners, like escorting people from the trains. I'm not talking about just women. The young men are scared. And if you have, I mean, this guy with the 4-year-old was killed for a jacket that wasn't even new. And to cut the trees.
That's very helpful. We've done that in my district. Very helpful.
Grand Avenue, there's a lot of shrubbery, and they hide behind the trees.
And also, when the trees don't get pruned enough on the top part too, they cover the street lights, so streets become darker. When we had a huge drug problem a number of years ago in Greenwich Village, and a critical thing, it sounded silly when I said it, but so I'm glad you appreciate this, was to get the Parks Department in, and it really brightened up the street, and then it makes it harder to find a nook and a cranny you can do something bad in. So that's good to remind us.
And the other thing was tied into what you just said, is stronger lighting.
Yes, absolutely.
Not the regular lighting they have now, but stronger. The street that...
You know, one thing we did in Staten Island that summer is we went out with city agencies, and we walked around and made notes of what trees, what lights need a higher voltage, so you might have to do those kind of walk-arounds too, and then you can be very specific with the agencies, so that's good.
And the other thing is, this area is right behind Monroe College, so why not affiliate with them and see if we can get some added security there. We spoke with that with the community board and Mr. Bell and Mr. Foster. Now, also they were thinking of marching to, I'm just sharing what they said, I don't say I agree, in front of Police Plaza, because they want more police. Now I know there's been cuts because of budgets, but there's also the idea of maybe putting some kind of surveillance cameras on these particular areas that are bad. Like that area is very bad. We had a meeting, and I'm sitting there, and I have as much passion as she does. I'm accused of having too much passion. I said, What about if we get a killing tomorrow? And then I turn on the TV and I hear about the 4-year-old. I just wanted to die. And I kept thinking, I hope it was a struggle that he got. No, the commander called our district manager, Fernando, and he aimed at that child to shoot him and kill him. That just gives me chills. And so, and I think Cabrera's point about the gangs is so vital because we have so many on 198th Street. And when I go around the corner from Grand Street, I was driving around there in the cab to go home to an Aqueduct. There was a whole gang standing there in the corner. You could tell that they're a gang. They're formulated, they're arguing, and they're just hanging out there in the middle of the night, 1 o'clock in the morning. And the other news is my daughter just moved in that area. So I'm like, she's on that side, I'm on 198th Street. And now, I want to talk about 198.
Let me just say, on the police, I mean, folks, you know, whatever.
Police area. Oh, the other idea, I'm sorry, was a tower.
Oh, okay.
A tower, because that would just frighten them at the moment.
Right. Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And we'll set up a follow-up meeting with the councilor and the borough president, with the borough command and folks from One Police Plaza to talk about resources.
Good.
If there's a way to get more police officers, to get one of the light towers. Sometimes it's helpful to put a temporary headquarter vehicle, one of those like big police RVs. In an area, because that can be very much a deterrent, and of course Fernando's working on the cameras and the different other gang ideas. So.
And then regarding Monroe College, we were able to direct them to work with a nonprofit called Boom program that provides mentorship. It's the only one that provides mentorship to those children whose parents are incarcerated. So we're already beginning to see the partnerships beginning to form.
We're scared because we see more middle school kids getting involved, and a lot of middle school kids are now being suspended from school. They're the ones that are hanging out, and there's regulations about suspensions. They can't just keep suspending kids with problems, and I think that's what's putting the kids in the streets. And so I'm glad you have that program.
We'll also make a note, there's a new middle school coordinator for citywide for the Department of Education, so we should involve them in too. Let me just jump to another person if we get a second round.
Thank you.
Pastor Winslow Jackson, Chair of Community Board 4. The Bronx Lebanon shooting was in our district, and we're a little more attached to that one because CB4 is housed in Bronx Lebanon Hospital.
Right? Okay. Understandable.
And so, of course, it could have been any one of our staff members or a member of our board. And thankfully, we had no board business that night, last night. And it's disheartening that a place of healing becomes a place of violence.
Right, a safe haven.
Exactly. And since this is going to be a long-term solution, I think we need to really think about what we've taken away and perhaps bringing it back. When we talk about gang violence, which offers young people a sense of family and community, and those programs that we used to offer in school, like athletics and arts and after-school sporting events, after-school music events, that we no longer value in our educational system because we've taken them away. We've cut funding for those programs.
And Pastor, just so you know, that's, if I'm going to give people a little bit of homework, a good thing to work with the councilmember on is particular schools that could use those programs, because one of the things we've set up in the council is a public-private partnership, and we can get outside funding from some of the city's corporate citizens to help with things like that, and I think that is a good point.
Along with resources to begin to fund some of our youth community centers that lost their funding.
Yeah, Fernando,
In our district specifically, we've lost one of our community centers at
which one?
The High Bridge.
Okay.
And beautiful gym, beautiful facility, just no one to operate it because there's no funding for it.
So it's actually not open at all at the moment?
It's open occasionally.
So we need to get money for expand the hours. Okay.
Yes. And so I think those are significant areas in which we can look into to provide opportunities for our young people to channel their energies elsewhere, as opposed to finding a sense of belonging with the wrong crowd. Our young people are being approached in junior high school and high school regarding becoming involved in gangs. Young people from my church who attend parochial schools are being approached even at parochial schools
Really?
about becoming involved in gangs.
Can I say, how many folks would say that you think middle school is more of a problem now for gangs than it was before, just a show of hands?
Yes.
Definitely.
And should we, for the parochial issue, do you think we need to then include the archdiocese
I
in this
think we should.
conversation? Okay, I hadn't thought of that, okay. And we'll figure out a middle school plan. That's depressing, I have to admit, but we can't pretend it's not the case.